Okay, this is Cheatham's Mud Palette. There's quite a few colors on here that are expensive. So the handout that I gave you guys, there are some other colors that you can use instead of Scarlet Lake, for example. But this is his chart. You can look him up online and see some of his work. This is his mud palette. Up at the top you can see the colors laid out on the palette. They're a little bit grayed out from the screen capture, and they're missing the bright green that we talked about in class down here. This is the Scarlet Lake color. The rest of his colors are pretty dark through here, but you can see all the skin tones and how he mixes his paints over here. This slide shows you how to start the painting by laying down an olive green wash with alizarin crimson, Indian yellow, and olive green. It can have a little bit more of a brownish tone. You just do the basic drawing with the paint, lay down some dark values, use a large brush to lay down the hair, the darkest areas. Coming down here, you lay down a little bit of color in the background, refine the face a little bit. You can see the face is a lot thinner here than it is here, so he extended it out over the hair in order to make the cheekbones higher. More detail with the skin tones, and a finalized painting to the right here. Stephen Assel, this is how he starts his paintings, just blocks in the basics. You can see the line work underneath where about the ear went, where the top of the head is, the basic egg shape, the lights, the darks, big brush strokes, you know, all around, just getting the basic shapes in. Here's another one of his. This one's a little bit more refined, but you can see here how he starts the painting. You just get the basic, you know, forms down, and he uses color to add light, not white. Over here you have a close-up of a finished painting. He does a lot of scumbling where he drags the paint over painted areas, so there's a lot of color over color. Some of his more refined work, this girl has a very detailed face, and then the faces on either side are a little bit more subtle, soft edge, and not as detailed, very dark and mysterious. And the girl over here on the right with the tattoo kind of reminds me of Casson's work, the background being very mellow and all the details being right on and perfect. The realists have really got some beautiful paintings going on. Then we have Chuck Close. A lot of you are familiar with his work and his use of color and grids to create the illusion of portrait. On the left here you see his portrait in black and white, where he did hyperrealism and then he broke it down to color. Margaret Boland, I liked this series of work that she did where the little girl painted her face white and wore a pink dress, but the white went over the pink. And then how she used the cotton in the hair, and the one on the right over here, and the look on the little girl's face. We talked about Sean Barber and his ability to paint realism, almost to the point of photorealism. The background, it's all about the paint, the brush strokes, the drips, the paint over the hair, the unfinished quality down here at the bottom. Really nice work. You can look him up online. This artist, Colin Chilling, did the old woman with the old man's face barely visible over hers, and then shows you the drawing at the bottom, how he laid it down, broke down the planes on the face, the wrinkles and the hair and the skin, and then laid down the basic skin tones that he used in order to achieve the face. And over here he did the same thing. The gray tone in the middle of the neck, a little bit of splatters over here, but this looks like a photograph almost, but then he leaves the drawing at the top and the bottom, a few skin swatches so that you can see the colors that he's using. Those aren't all the colors he's using, just a few. Don't forget that everything you're painting on is important. The surface underneath. This artist uses the wood as part of his visual dialogue. That means that he chose this wood and this grain of wood in the direction that it's going so that it would become part of the work of the dress and give you a certain feeling of heavenly ascent. He did the same with this young man here. You can see where he's left the wood in the jacket, here and here. Jenny Morgan, I love her work. She's very creative. She uses red and scrapes away, and she does her work on canvas. You can see the grain of the canvas and the work in the hair and down here by the clothing. Again, she's leaving the drawing part, the drawing part in the hands. Red is the undertone. Drawing is the foundation of painting. So some artists are using that drawing quality to be able to allow the viewers to go, wow, this is a painting, but look at the drawing. It's just as important, that quality of line. Here's a team painter, David Maurer, with Jenny Morgan, where she did the realism and he did the abstract on top. Here we have Hendrik Aldelin. We talked about the expression on the child's face and the way he used the white paint over the head to make it feel like a dream, or maybe the child has autism or some sort of brain dysfunction, you're not really sure. Then we have Christoph and his work where the face is looking straight at you and then away from you with glasses, straight at you, and then like you're seeing double. It's a really interesting approach to the human head, using the black and white tones for the basic structure and then sizing down the actual face within that form. Real interesting approach. Here's Sandra's work with collage, when she puts the collage of superheroes of women on the face and then does the eyes. And here's another one. I like this one particularly, just the way the eyes are done. I do believe she's using watercolor with this, or it could just be washed down acrylic on paper. We talked about Jose Luis Carranza and his funky eyes, but look at the direction of the brush strokes in the hair and on the face, and then the line work down on the chin to describe the forms and the direction of each brush stroke, and then the extreme color to get the sense of lighting. And then the background's pretty flat and plain. The brush strokes describe the planes on the jacket and the shirt and the tie and the neck, and pretty interesting work. One of my favorite painters is David Casson. I think you guys are familiar with him at this point. He does hyperrealism. She is a painting, and the background is very abstract and graffiti-like. Another one of his. You feel like you could almost reach out and touch the skin. He is a master at doing photorealism and has gained an international audience, is what I wanted to say. Sorry about the interruption there. Sergio Albiec with the one direction of the different tones in a certain form, breaking down the planes of the face in order to learn where the values and colors go. We talked about that. Doing a palette knife painting where there are no hard edges. The colors go into the background, and kind of it's just a matter of laying down the colors and the forms and getting the basic idea of the head and the ear and the hair and the depth of space behind her, and the light coming from behind him. It's all about the paint. Michael Husser. Here you can see his brush strokes up at the top, and then it becomes very dark and mysterious down here. Another one of Michael Husser's. One of my favorites. I do like to do clowns, and his is a good one. Love the hair, the background. We talked about the unfinished quality at the bottom. Remember, look at this brush stroke here, and then the change of tone and value here. And look at the necklace. Probably wiped away down to the white of the board underneath. Here you have the olive green brown showing through at the bottom. The direction of the hair. It's not about every hair, it's every piece of hair. It's about the planes in the hair and how the light hits the hair. One of my students' work breaking down the planes on her face so she could learn how to use the colors and where the cool colors went and the warm colors went. She did a pretty good job. And then Nora's, where she did more of hyperrealism and really pushed the Indian yellow to highlight the brightness of her face where the light was hitting. I hope you guys enjoyed the lecture and that this helps you. Have a great Christmas.